In a fermentation, there might be like hundreds of different flavor molecules that it just like realistically you could not add yourself. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like free flavor. I'm Dr. Arielle Johnson, flavor scientist, advisor to some of the world's best bars and restaurants, author of the book Flavorama, and this is the Taste Collective. When you're tasting a meal or a drink crafted with care from quality ingredients, you can literally taste the place that it originated from. A term we use for the taste of place is terroir. This comes from French, from wine. It literally means earth, but we use it kind of more generally to describe how everything about the environment where something grows impacts how it tastes. Plants primarily defend themselves through molecules and chemistry. So if we spend too much time in the sun, our skin has a chemical reaction and we get a sunburn. The same thing happens to plants, like agave, but 1,000 times more complicated. Everything about the environment that a plant grows in, humidity, rainfall, soil, temperature, sunlight, lack of sunlight, all creates molecular changes in the plant that ultimately become tasteable. Agave is a great example of a plant that is particularly affected by terroir. The agave for 1800 is grown on family-owned ranches, and every single plant will have a unique flavor characteristic that reflects that place. For example, you could take two genetically identical agave plants, grow one in the highlands of Los Altos and another one elsewhere, and these identical plants will taste completely different in response to their environment. As the agave gets taken through harvest, cooking, fermentation, distillation, aging, those differences created by place are amplified and even more tasteable. Before tequila is distilled, agave is fermented. Fermentation is a factory for flavor creation. For example, in an agave fermentation, yeast will eat the sugar and transform it into alcohol. But as they are doing that, they create dozens, perhaps hundreds of other flavor molecules that were not present in the agave to begin with. That puts it in the category of foods like sourdough, kimchi, cheese, and sauerkraut. The primary reaction in fermentation is yeast is eating sugar, secreting alcohol, but as kind of a bonus, you get a lot of extra flavor molecules. You will get winey and boozy notes from higher alcohols. You'll get a lot of fruity tastes from molecules called esters. You can also get some heft and earthiness and even maybe like a little bit of funkiness from fatty acids. In cooking and in drinks making, you don't have a lot of opportunity to actually create flavor. If you're browning something, perhaps you do, but the flavor that your ingredients come in with is the flavors that you've got. But if you ferment those ingredients, you get the opportunity to actually add more flavors that did not exist in them before. Just like plants can express a terroir and a taste of place, different environments, different places, different like fermentation rooms have unique subpopulations of bacteria and yeast. That is something called microbial terroir. So, in any fermented food, you're tasting the place that the ingredients were grown, but you're also literally tasting the place where the fermentation happened and the kind of like native population of microbes from that place. Artisans, like at 1800, can also cultivate their own unique strains of yeasts and microbes to create a flavor that can't be replicated in any other place. 1800 Blanco is 3 simple ingredients: agave, yeast, water, and nothing else. No additives. Since there's really like nothing to hide behind, besides those flavors, place and fermentation have a huge expression in the flavor of the final product. And the third piece of the puzzle is craft. When you're distilling, you're basically like boiling a slightly alcoholic liquid to get a much more alcoholic liquid. You are using heat and condensation to concentrate alcohol. You are also concentrating every other volatile flavor molecule in the mix, and some of those taste better than others, and some mixtures of them taste better than others. So the distiller makes like deliberate choices about which components to include and exclude, and those are called distillation cuts. So any sip of tequila that you experience is reflective of that careful choice of cuts. Rather than this being like an inconvenience, true artisans will treat this as almost a like palette of flavors to work with. So to like reach the final like perfect flavor is a matter of like skillfully choosing different expressions of the tequila from different places or that were fermented at different times. If you are a very skillful chef and you're composing a dish, you will taste all of your ingredients and bring in more or less of some of them and adjust on the fly. Blending a tequila or creating a cocktail is really the exact same process of like careful tasting, paying attention to like the flavors originally from place and distillation and fermentation that are expressed in the product, and then using your skill and palate to create something delicious. Taste of place is inherent to anything you eat and drink. 1800 sense of place stems from our agave grown on family-owned ranches high above the sea in the Mexican highlands. Check out the rest of our Taste Collective masterclasses to learn more about how we interact with taste.